And looks like we're live, guys. I'm a Queenslander and my try scorer tip did not win tonight. So not the most fun game for me to recap, but as I promised, I was going to come here and talk about what we just watched. Wasn't the most exciting game ever, but let's just talk through all the key moments. Congratulations, New South Wales. Massive series win. 76-6 across 2 games so far. Give me about a minute, guys. I'll just get this all set up with graphics and share it into the group. Figure out the competition winner as well, and I'll announce that live. Just comment your moment of the match so far, guys, and I'll share your comments and try and interact as well. We'll talk about man of the match as well. Share it into the Tripod Punters Tips forum. Join the group if you're not already in there, guys. We're approaching 25,000 members. Okay, that's all done. And I've got the winner as well. There was one person who tipped Addo Fox first try and exact margin of New South Wales 26. Thanks for all the comments, guys. Welcome to the Tripod, where we break down the NRL every week, every game from a punting perspective. This is, in fact, the Origin Game 2 live recap. Not just a recap, but a rapid reaction, because I'm here just 5 minutes after full time. New South Wales, of course, won 26-0. That makes it 76-6 to the Blues over 2 matches, both played in Queensland, and that's an emphatic series win for the Blues. Not a great night for me because I'm a Queenslander and also because I gave out just the one tip on the match. So let's start there. The tip I gave out for the match, we needed 3 different players to score, and we got Addo, we got Turbo. We had both of them within half an hour of the match. And then we needed a To'o try. He never actually got really any good looks. A Gagai try would have cashed it for us at $3. He got very close. We'll just talk about that. And Val Holmes was thereabouts a couple of times but didn't score. So same as game 1, I gave out a tip. We needed 3 tries. We had 2 from our group 25 minutes in, never got that 3rd try. And in this one, same sort of story. So I apologize, guys, because that does hurt. But overall this season, if you've had 100 on every tip that I've shared out, those mixed matchup, the value tip for the Origin or the NRL, you're up over $2,400. And that's including copping a $100 loss tonight. So it's still been a really good season. Now, let's say congratulations. The bloke who won is going to need to reach out to the Tripod, just send a message, because his name is James. Oh yeah, James. So he tipped Addo first try scorer, and he also tipped exact margin of New South Wales by 26. So he takes home a $50 bonus. So get in touch, James. Oh yeah, James. Congratulations. Good tip. All right, guys, where I wanted to actually start with this game, I'm just going to go through the talking points. What about the mayhem that occurred this weekend? And this is absolutely not an excuse. Just quickly, let's touch on it because, of course, Reece Walsh was one of the biggest storylines of the week. Everyone, there was a debate. Should he be in? Should he not be in? How's he going to go? It was really interesting to talk about. I was so excited just to see how the kid went. And then what a fizzer that, and such a shame that he gets the hamstring strain in captain's run on Saturday and obviously is ruled out. And then just all hell breaks loose on the back of that. Mulatalo, who was 18th and 19th man, drafted straight in. I'm sure you all heard the news today, obviously with Mulatalo getting then scratched for ineligibility. And to me, it's just like, how on earth can that happen? How does it happen in the 11th hour that nobody figures out that this guy's not eligible? So that just seems like a absolute amateur hour there, and it would have been disrupting for Queensland. But if Queensland had played well today, people would have said it was galvanising. I mean, they're very fortunate that they had Xavier Coates. He's got Origin experience. He is a solid winger that they could bring in, lives in Brisbane, slot in, and he didn't disgrace himself. I'm not really going to talk about a lot of Maroons players in this game because none of them really stood out. But that was sent shockwaves around the NRL and followers are all around social media. Obviously, what happened today just seems so bizarre. Starting with the game, well, the first really big moment, I feel, it looked like Queensland had turned up to play, but let me know what you guys thought was the moment where you knew that New South Wales were going to win big. And a lot of you will probably say from the kickoff, but that Latrell strip on Kyle Felt, who did not have a very enjoyable, Origin debut in Origin 1 or 2. That strip by Latrell, it's only a couple of tackles later that New South Wales opens the scoring in the 11th minute with Latrell. With Addo-Carr crossing, which was good for our tip, although we didn't end up getting our 3 try scorers. The other thing I thought that was ironic about that was Teddy sets it up with a cutout ball. Everybody and his brother had Turbo first try, had Turbo for 2 or more tries, or Turbo for another hat-trick. And I thought it was kind of ironic that in game 1, every bookie had their promo, Addo-Carr to score, New South Wales to win. And of course, Addo-Carr didn't score in game 1 and then didn't score when the Storm put up 66 points. And then, of course, gets the first try just when some punters might have given up on Addo-Carr. It's a cutout ball that goes across Turbo's face, and Addo-Carr gets the first try. Of course, he ends up getting a double as well. So that's just kind of the irony. Although Turbo wasn't to be denied, he got across the line later in the first half. Just another thing on the punting side of things, the line pretty much closed minus 15.5, which is similar to what it was when I previewed the game on Wednesday. It never got to 16 at any bookies. So from what I heard, the punters were pretty much just filling up on the Blues. Majority of money and punters were taking 13 plus New South Wales or New South Wales with the line. I posted on the Tripod page the bet ticker from Ladbrokes, and there were 5-figure bets coming through on the Blues. They didn't care that the line had, gone well beyond 12. They were still backing the Blues. And from, try scorers and multis, definitely Addo-Carr, Mitchell, Trebojevic, all scoring helps. Maybe To'o has cost a few people with their same game multis, and it did cost us because if To'o had scored, we would have had a $3 winner. Shout out to Dan Lever. He put his manhood on the line, said New South Wales. Not that bold to say New South Wales is going to win. Dan's previous 2 times he's put his junk on the line was a 50-50 in the group, and he's undefeated this season. So when this man puts the old fella on the line, often that can mean it's a pretty safe bet. And as we know, 26-0 it certainly was. The second key moment in the game is the 25th minute, you see on the screen there, the Latrell intercept. And I had actually made a note to myself, game-changing set by Queensland, which sounds kind of silly now because you look, I'm going to talk about a bunch of key points in this match. But you can kind of say, well, regardless of what happened in any one moment in the match, and James is making a point that Teddy also got close a lot of times to score, but never quite did. But at 6-0 down, I felt like Queensland's got to strike back next. And they had a really good set. I mean, I remember Macca taking a scoop from dummy half, got a really quick play the ball, a beautiful kick in behind from Munster, and Tedesco knocked it on, trying to pick it up. And then Queensland got a set on the Blues line and then a 6 again. And that was really the moment where Queensland needed to strike back. And instead, it's a 90-metre try by Latrell. And the second that the ball hit his fingertips and he started striding away, I just said, we're dead. Because that you just can't have a moment like that. It's basically a 12-point swing when you're saying Queensland needs to strike back, and instead it's Latrell. And that's another huge moment he's involved in. He pushed Felt into the in-goal earlier. He had the one-on-one strip, and obviously that's a huge moment in the game. So it's 12-0 with Latrell's intercept try, which is monumental in the result of the match. I think a lot of Queenslanders probably knew the writing on the wall was there, right there. I mean, and Queensland's benefited from it before. We've seen Dane Gagai has had game-swinging, length of the field intercept tries. So it goes both ways. And some credit to Latrell. He doesn't look like he's in some of the peak physical shape that a few others out there are, but nobody could catch him. The huge moment. Then in the 30th minute, New South Wales makes another line break. Turbo puts it back inside to Cam Murray, and he drops it. And I made a note there, well, that's game over. If Cam Murray catches that ball, that's game over. 2 minutes later, it is game over anyway. 50-metre try, New South Wales line break. Once again, it comes from Tedesco on the left side of the field, just with spiders on him, could not be brought down, skipping across the field, kind of shrugging tacklers off, but sucking in the defense. and they end up shifting it to the right, and they get a breakaway, the Blues, down the right-hand side, and Turbo goes in, and everyone here probably had Turbo in their same game multi. So I'm sure a lot of punters were very happy to see him get over. That's 18-0 to New South Wales, and I wrote in my notes, game over. So I was optimistic, thinking it wasn't game over until that point, and 18-0 was the halftime score. Let us know what your key takeaways as well. I'll include your comments too, guys. Okay, in the 45th minute, an interesting moment. So 18-0 Blues at halftime. The Blues score again, another length of the field try to Turbo, but it's quickly overruled. I could hear the ref mic that they were calling it a downtown rule. I don't know if you guys, maybe if people were watching in a pub, they wouldn't have heard the commentary and they would have been jumping out of their seat because Turbo looked to have got a double and it looked to be 24-0. But it's a rule that doesn't come up too often, but we have seen it before at NRL level where Cam Murray was well in front of the play the ball when it was played. Therefore, he can't touch it on that play. So correct ruling, but you might have got a bit excited at that point. So that denied Turbo a double and he never did score again. Maybe that cost some people money who were just betting on a repeat of game one. A few minutes later, when Queensland doesn't take the opportunity from that penalty, DCE is then lucky not to be sent to the sin bin, but he takes out a kick chaser and the Blues add the 2 points. So that's 20-0 to New South Wales after 50 minutes. Again, it was already game over, but that's just turning the screws at that point. Then the Maroons looked to get on the board, and I thought this was going to be a cruel twist of fate that Xavier Coates was going to score. And again, I'm referencing a lot of same-game multis because I know that everyone loves, their same-game multis with try scorers. And I know he was only brought into the team late, but I wonder how many people included Xavier Coates and thought that he'd scored in the 53rd minute, and it's Turbo. And this really is emblematic of what this Blues team is about in this new era, that the effort is there on both sides of the ball, and the pride in this team to keep Queensland to 0 was really symbolised in this moment by Turbo, where he arm chops Xavier Coates. Just watching every NRL game as I do, and as I've watched basically every minute of every NRL game for close to a decade. I mean, the wingers just score that try so often. They're scoring that from that position like 90+% of the time. So it really is an amazing effort by Turbo to get across and not even try and play the body, because the wingers are so smart getting their body in the air, and he chops the arm on a big, strong guy like Xavier Coates and saves the try. And I'll just point out as well, 20 minutes later, Brian To'o making that defensive hustle play to meet Kyle Felt at the point that he catches a ball in behind when it looks like a certain consolation try to Felt, and To'o makes that play, rips at the arms of Felt, does not allow him to ground the ball. Those are two huge try-saving moments that don't decide the game, because the Blues win the game with or without those try-savers, but still symbolises what this team has been about and why, and the pride in the jersey that they've restored and how formidable this team is. So two huge plays there. Turbo on Xavier Coates and To'o on Felt. Again, I reckon hurting anybody who had any Queenslanders for an anytime try, because that's your two Queensland wingers, both denied. A general point I picked up on in this game, was there even one high shot? You have to give some credit to the NRL, because I know we all threw our arms up in the air and all, thought it was a disgrace how hard they clamped down on this stuff around Magic Round, and they definitely went too far. But this wasn't a case of the refs turning a blind eye because of Origin. I thought the players have done remarkably well to adjust their technique and to lower the contact. And you've got to say, Origin used to always have some brutal shots, but it's just not worth the price of putting a high shot on, anyone, whether it be a key playmaker, whether it be the kicker, giving them a bit extra, because you're more than likely going to hurt your team by going to the bin and paying a price. And we know the suspensions are worse and everything like that. So it actually seems to, I know small sample size, but it seems to be reducing the amount of circumstances or happenings in the game. And that is a positive. So less high shots. And I'll also just take this moment. I'm kind of getting to the last 20 minutes of the game now, but I just kind of made a note of how good Teddy was. And someone's just commented there, who got man of the match? And I don't know. I'm in a different room to my TV, but you guys can comment when man of the match gets announced. But I presume it has to be Teddy. I quickly looked at the stats, 230 plus meters for Tedesco. He threw the cutout ball for the opening try to Addo Carr. As I said, he kind of was the instrumental in the lead-up play to Trebojevic's try. And then, of course, Teddy had the assist for Adokar's for the final try as well, which I'll get to in a minute. Not to mention 10 tackle breaks for Tedesco. So, obviously, while we're on that note, Latrell, who I mentioned had several key moments in this game, would also be in the mix. But I imagine Teddy got man of the match tonight, and that would have been probably $6 or $7 odds. Let us know if anyone got on Teddy, and let us know if he definitely is confirmed man of the match, because we've seen some strange ones. And Dan Levers commented Latrell there. I'm not sure, does that mean Latrell got it? But he had a lot of big moments as well. And I feel like it's even harder to influence a game from out wide. But as we saw, Trebojevic did it in game one. Latrell was awesome game two. So some people arguing Latrell. So, either of those guys worthy. For me, Teddy, it wasn't even just his hands in certain tries, but it was just across the game. He was just too much to handle for Queensland, I thought. Latrell, I guess he had an error or two in him. He got bundled over the sideline. But in fact, Dan's saying that's not the man of the match call. I think Channel 9 tries to keep you in suspense for that one, so you keep watching the broadcast and keep watching their ads before they announce that. But I would suggest it was Teddy. In the 61st minute, I'm just probably bringing this up because of the bet I shared out. Gagai is a centimetre away from a try. It would have been a bit of an unusual one. Kyle Felt contesting the ball, taps it back in. Gagai scrambling, and as we know, it was disallowed because his elbow kind of hit the dead ball line simultaneously with when he grounded the ball. He actually did well, and I actually think he did ground the ball, but he just could not quite keep his elbow from grazing dead ball line. And that's how close we got to a $3 winner. So I wrote we were robbed by Ash Taylor. We were robbed by Ash Klein in the video ref box. But then when I thought about it a bit more, I thought probably talking out of my wallet there, probably was just a cruel blow. We didn't quite get there. Now, a comment there that Fafita is a joke at Origin. And I think that's a fair comment. I didn't want to talk much about New South Wales players, Queensland players. But you're looking at a guy, I talked about him in the preview. If Queensland has any chance, they need their big players to step up. You don't get much bigger than a guy that's making $1.3 million a year. He didn't do anything to me that stood out. But if we are talking about the forwards that dominated in the middle of the field, I thought Isaiah Yeo was exceptionally strong. Both are starting props in New South Wales as well. And Cam Murray, very strong, very hard to handle too. And the other guy who always controls everything and is always good is Nathan Cleary. I'll give a shout out to Mateos in our group who tipped Cleary $5 to win the Wally Lewis medal. Clearly, it's going to be a Blues player, and maybe it's still up in the air depending on who plays really well in the decider. But Cleary always has a hand in everything, has his fingerprints all over it. Even if he didn't necessarily have the highlight plays, he was exceptional too. So then, as I said before, but Adokar gets that try with 10 minutes to go, makes it 26-0. The assist from Teddy, it was all Teddy really. And again, bit of cruel irony there that a lot of punters had given up on Adokar. And of course, he gets a double while To'o on the other side. New South Wales barely even went left. You think about that deadly left side with Luai, Latrell Mitchell. Latrell's try comes from an intercept, not even from a shift. And To'o barely gets a chance. Comment there, what about Cook? And then, again, just regarding our bet, and a lot of people who follow the tripod maybe took that $3 value play that I gave out. But if Val Holmes scores with 2 minutes to go when he skies for a bomb and drops it 2 meters out, I think he had snatched it above Teddy and he's coming down. I think that's a try. If I think our bet was in Val Holmes' hands if he could have held on. He did not. I was going to bring up the stats of the game and just see if anything else kind of stood out, guys. So I don't know how clearly you're going to see this. I guess it depends if you're watching this on a phone or on your TV. But yeah, there you go. Isaiah Yeo led the tackle count as well. Talk about him, leading in the middle of the field. Teddy led in terms of meters. So the Fox a little bit more involved. Fantasy players, again, Teddy most points. So that's where certainly no one's arguing that Tedesco had a whale of a game. But guys, overall, I'm going to keep it pretty brief. I felt like it wasn't highly eventful because it was just quite clear and quite sad that New South Wales is just way too good for Queensland, and that it played out that way, and very comprehensive win. And to keep Queensland scoreless and to just one try across 2 games in Queensland is super impressive. I've got one consolation for Queenslanders. This is what I'll say, might make you feel a little bit better. Queensland should never have won the Origin in 2020. New South Wales was the better team last year too, and I rewatched Game 1 and Game 3 in the last week or two of 2020 just to feel happy again being a Maroons fan. And Queensland pinched both those games, really. They didn't have the superior squad. So just be thankful that New South Wales hasn't won 4 series in a row, because if New South Wales could have capitalised on a double-digit lead in Game 1 in Adelaide last year, that's what we'd be talking about. We'd be talking about a Blues dynasty, and you don't see an end in sight. So Queenslanders should just be thankful that they stole the series last year. Obviously, it helped a lot having that decider in Queensland. There were 2 really tight games. Queensland won both of those, and then there was a comprehensive win to New South Wales in that series. But for New South Wales, hey, congratulations. Enjoy it. You've got a hell of a team at the moment. You've got a hell of a young core. A lot of these players that you've kind of built your team around aren't going anywhere either. And it's kind of scary for Queensland. But with the shoe was on the other foot about 10 years ago when Queensland was in the midst of winning 11 of 12 series. And we can't start talking about the Blues in that sort of vein yet. But they're a scary outfit with sensational players, especially in the back line, and just way too good. Guys, I'll be back on Wednesday to preview round 16 of the NRL. It's been a sensational season for the Tripod. We are 68% on best bets this season, and I've openly said nobody hits 60% against the spread. So to be 68%, we're over halfway. I'm just going to keep working hard, doing my best to keep that going, and keep going as well as I can. I don't think I can keep that percentage up, but hopefully plenty of people jumping on with her. It's helping you win money, steering you off a few losers, just in general, helping you do a little bit better than you might have done on your own, or just you're finding it interesting and helps you enjoy it and think about your punting or think about footy in a different way. I appreciate everybody who tunes in, and I'm going to keep working, try and finish 2021 as strong as possible. So cheers, guys. Congratulations, New South Wales. Enjoy it, guys. And Queensland fans, well, there's not a lot of club footy to look forward to, so hopefully you can just look forward to finding a few more best bet winners across the NRL. As always, guys, gamble responsibly. Lego.